Hello and welcome back to the Magnus Carlsen Chess 2 finals, and already Hikaru Nakamura is through to the finals, and the other match between Ding Liren and Magnus Carlsen will decide the next finalist. So it's getting more exciting to watch. In the fourth set, Carlsen opens with a win and Ding wins the second game, and the third game and the fourth game ended up in a draw. But it was Ding who dominated both the games, as Carlsen somehow managed to escape from getting mated, and then the first blitz game also ended up in a draw. So let's take a look at the second blitz game being played. So playing with the white pieces, Ding goes for d4 and knight to f6, reply Carlsen, and c4 and e6, g3. We are now having a Catalan opening game on the board. So d5, and bishop to g2, bishop to b4 check, and bishop to d2, and bishop goes back to e7, and knight to f3, and Carlsen castles on the king side, and Ding also castles on the king side. Now c6 and queen to c2, and now b6, making room for the c8 bishop to play. So now knight to e5, preventing black from playing knight b to d7. After knight to e5, Carlsen plays bishop to b7, and c takes d5 and c takes d5, rook to c1, further consolidating his position. And now knight f to d7. Here Carlsen is offering a trade of knight, but Ding is not at all interested in trading of knight, so he plays knight to d3, and now knight to c6, further continuing with the development of the pieces, now attacking the d4 pawn with knight to c6. So Ding plays e3, supporting the pawn. So now rook to c8 with a clear idea of attacking the c2 queen. So here Ding plays knight to c3, and now knight to a5. He gets a semi-open rook file, and at the same time Carlsen is preparing for knight to c4. So now queen to d1 and knight to c4 as expected. Here Ding is not willing to trade his bishop on d2, so he plays bishop to e1, and now knight to d6, making room for the rook to play, and at the same time preparing for knight to e4. So now a4. Here Ding is preparing for pawn push, so Carlsen plays a5, stopping the pawn from advancing. So knight to b5. Here Ding manages to place his knight on a very good square because there is no pawn to attack. So now Carlsen here decides to go for the trade of rooks, a rook into c1 and a rook into c1, and now queen to b8. Here Carlsen is making room for his rook on f8 to play c8 and further go for trade of rooks. So after queen to d8, Ding plays b4, and now knight to c4, supporting the pawn on a5. So here b into a5 and b into a5. Now e4, attacking the pawn on d5. Now knight d to b6 comes in support of the d5 pawn. Now e takes d5 and bishop takes d5. We are now witnessing a capture fest on board. Now bishop into d5 and e into d5, and then knight to e5. Here black's knight on b6 cannot move because of the threat of knight to d7. So after knight to e5, Carlsen plays queen to b7, avoiding any future threats. So here Ding goes for a very tactical move, and he goes for bishop into a5. If Carlsen takes the bishop on a5 with his knight, then rook to c7, and Carlsen will go on to lose the bishop on e7. So in reply to bishop into a5, What Carlsen plays here is bishop to g5 with the counter attack of attacking the rook. So here Ding goes for bishop into b6 and bishop into c1. So Carlsen wins a rook for a knight. Now bishop to c5 attacking the rook. Now a rook goes to a8 and knight into c4 and d into c4. Now queen into c1, winning back a piece. Ding wins the bishop. And now rook into a4. Carlsen wins a pawn, and at the same time he's supporting the c4 pawn. Now knight to c3 attacking the rook. Now rook goes to a5. Here Carlsen is trying to stop the pawn from advancing. So h4 by Ding. Now this allows Carlsen to play queen to a8 and further consolidate his position with the threat of rook to a1 and pin. So in reply to queen to a8, Ding plays queen to b2, but Carlsen here plays rook to a1 check, and knight to b1. And Carlsen here plays a brilliant move in reply to knight to b1. He plays a c3. So Ding plays queen to b3, supporting the knight. After queen to b3, Carlsen plays h6. He's preparing for something like queen to e4 check, queen to e4 and further attack the knight on b1. So even if Ding plays queen to b8 check, king can escape by playing king to h7. So after h6, Ding goes for d5, promotion of pawn. So Carlsen plays queen to c8, attacking the bishop on c5. So here Ding decides to give up his bishop and further concentrate on the defense. And Ding plays king to g2, and Carlsen wins a bishop, queen into c5 and knight into c3. Here Ding wins a pawn and rook to a8 by Carlsen. Now knight to e2 and rook to d8, attacking the pawn on d5. Now knight to f4 comes in rescue, and then queen to d4 and h5. Now queen to e5 and now queen to b6, attacking the rook. So now rook plays b8, counter attacking, and so now queen to c5 and queen to e4 check. Now king goes to h4 and rook to b1, and now king to g4. And after king to g4, Carlsen plays f5 check. So it was in this position on move 45 that Ding resigned the game, because if Carlsen cannot play king to h4, then rook to h1 is checkmate. So after king to h3, so after rook to b1, it was better to play queen to c8 check and king to h7, and after that king to g4 was playable because Carlsen cannot play f5 here. So Ding played a wonderful game, but he was not able to convert his advantages. Carlsen also played a wonderful game, and with this win, Carlsen is through to the finals of the Magnus Carlsen chess tour. So hope you all enjoyed the game. Stay tuned for more action from the finals, and see you guys next time.